welcome in officially to week one of college football season. We are finally back. The off season's done, the transfer portal done. Conference realignment is never going to be done, though. So, we'll get into that here in just a little bit. My name's Ian McClintock. Welcome back to the Saturday Football Showdown. Once again, joined by Dante. Dante, how's it going, buddy?
Hey man, I'm doing good, man. I've been going to high school games this week. Football is back. Week one, we got the realest week one back. Utah and Florida game was okay, was pretty okay. Utah looked like still the same team they were last year, physical tough, but pretty sure we'll get into that soon. But I'm ready. Let's do it, man.
Yeah, we're definitely going to dive into the Florida shellacking that was from Utah here. And then I know we missed you last week, but Martin representing the 305 down here at the bottom. How the heck have you been? It has been months since we've talked, buddy.
Man, Ian, it's been a while. It's been a while. What's going on, Dante?
What's going on, man? How about them Canes? How about them Canes, baby?
Yeah, that's the way we gotta start off. That's the way we got to start off. I watched it last night. It's been a long season for me, man. It's the off season. I've just been doing a whole lot. From writing for the Commanders, through a column. Trying to get still do videos, live streams, and just staying plugged in, man, with both of my teams. So I know Dante is a Houston Astro fan, so my Braves is lighting the world on fire right now. So it's been busy, Ian. It's been busy and exhausting at the same time.
I feel that 100%. Well, it's always good having you back here on the show. So I think we're going to get AC on here in just a little bit. I know he's probably got his Saturday morning rituals with his team and everything, but
yeah, tell him he can't be ducking out, man. I need him to heckle me. You know what I'm saying? He gave me a lot of grief last season, so it's gonna be different this time.
I think he's still waiting on that $2 bet from me from like week 7. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, that's probably so. You
still waiting on your $2, man, for the USC, that USC in San Jose State?
Oh Lord. Eventually he's just going to get $2 bills from like the entire squad here, so it's fine. We all know it's fine.
Hey, you scored 28 points. Hey,
yeah.
That they did. And actually, I guess we can go ahead and start there. Obviously, just kind of touching back with week 0 here. USC obviously beat San Jose State 56-28. A lot of people, kind of like yourself, Dante, were saying, hey, San Jose, they're going to try to make it interesting here in the first half. And then obviously Caleb Williams doing what Caleb Williams does best. They pull away in the second half, absolutely put them to bed. Win by 28, still looked great, only had 6 incompletions, 4 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, is Caleb Williams just back on his Heisman-ish at this point? Or is there anybody else that we really saw in week 0 that really could potentially compete with that?
Honestly, I think Sam Hartman, for Notre Dame, I think there's a lot of great quarterbacks that we haven't seen and which we probably see today. But I think Sam Hartman, he impressed really good with Notre Dame in week 0. Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams, man. He's special. Whether he win the Heisman again this year or not, it's going to remain to be seen. But he's going to be the one because USC, from what I have heard and listened to on other sports radio, USC still don't have a great defense that could probably get them into the college playoff. And so Caleb Williams going to have to be that Hercules again, carrying that team on his back. Now, if he carries his team with a bad defense and end up getting into the playoffs, hey, that's going to be something remarkable, whether they win or lose. But just getting them there, that to me, then that should warrant him another Heisman Trophy, No, but I mean, but unless that, but I think Sam Hartman and Notre Dame got something special over there too.
Yeah, Sam Harmon looked it very good. Looked it very good. Also, the receiver that I think that's going to be that to keep your eyes on. Everyone need to keep their eyes on. Throughout this whole Notre Dame future, Jalen Greyhound, how he played last week versus Navy. Only a freshman played in one of the played in for Austin Westlake. Watched him personally play football. He's a big time wide receiver. But Sam Harmon looked good out there, man. He looked really good out there. Notre Dame running backs look very strong, but there's a reason why I don't have USC in the top four. I mean, I don't have a fourth team in the playoff as of right now. I only got 3 teams as of right now. It's not really a fourth team. I want to just throw in there that I can actually trust. But USC giving up 28, man, and these are big plays they're giving up. These not like check down plays they're giving up. These are big time plays that they're giving up, long plays. I mean, Nick Nash, the receiver from San Jose State, looked very good, man. Looked very good. Again in week 0 versus USC. So like me and Ian discussed last week, think the game was going to be close going into the first half. Then you saw USC come out and put a whooping on them. You saw that punt return. That punt return was really huge. By USC. And just Caleb Williams. I mean, the way the dude, man, this dude right here, I don't like until Sam Harmon can give him a run for the Heisman Trophy. The way he looked, but the play, he picks up the ball and immediately just chunks it down the field, and this receiver somehow is wide open, kept running. But put it on the money, just like that. Just pick out the for any other quarterback or even some NFL quarterback, that's a fumble. That's a fumble. They get to the ball, but for him to have the audacity just to pick it up and just throw it and throw it accurate like that, and for the receiver to keep running and catch the touchdown, that's something. You got to reward Keller Williams for that play right there. You got to reward him for that play. That was a very good play, keeping that play alive. But not only just throwing it accurate for a TD, but other than that, I don't like their defense. Their defense has not improved from last year. And this is why I think Utah will give them a problem, because Utah is physical. They can stop guys. USC cannot stop anybody. They can't stop the run. They can't stop anybody from throwing the ball. They can't stop anyone. They can't even stop us 3. They couldn't even stop us 3. So that's how bad their defense is. They're going to be able to score with no problem on the offense side. My problem is the defensive side of the ball. And giving up 28 to San Jose State, that's a little bit too much. But that shows you San Jose State, they're not a bad football team. When you look at them played against USC, they actually played pretty good. USC just a better football. They were just the better football team.
Yeah. I want to piggyback on that a little bit, what you said, Dante, because I think USC, they had weapons. They definitely got weapons across the board. But just like you alluded to, Utah, I mean, they was physically beating up Florida the other night. I mean, they honestly, if Cam Rising was there, they would have blown them out. It would have been really bad for them. But I think the quarterback that they have that came in there, now he got that one game under there. You're gonna start to see the Utah move a little bit differently, and they probably gonna wait to especially if they could win games and they could still keep Cam Rising out a little bit just until he's 100% truly healthy to bring him back. But it's college football. If one quarterback is leading the team, it's going to be kind of hard just to shift that guy back into there. So I like what the Utah has done, and I do see when USC plays Notre Dame this year, and Utah, that's going to be a test, because no matter how much firepower offense you have, if you can't stop another team from putting points on the board, it's going to make a long day. Case in point, Louisville and Georgia Tech last night. Louisville was rolling, and then Georgia Tech caught fire, and then they just couldn't sustain that. And then Louisville just clicked it on and just add more points. So you got to be able to stop guys, from scoring, and especially, like you said, Dante, they're putting up 28 points on USC. That's going to be bad, because you know, there's going that Pac-12, even though they all go in different directions after the season, it's going to be a fight to the finish.
Yeah. Well, mind you, the quarterback Cordero did lead the San Jose State Spartans last season to a 7-4 record as well. So I'm not quite sure if it really is quite as big of an upset to see San Jose State doing as well as potential we've seen. But definitely, when you're ranked in the top 10, you should definitely be able to put teams like this away a lot quicker than having to wait for the second half for sure. Similar to what, say, like Notre Dame did. Absolutely putting away Navy very quickly, dropping 42 points. I didn't even know this, that 4 touchdowns ties the single game passing record at Notre Dame. I didn't know that for all time. Like, I really thought Joe Montana at least had a 5 touchdown game at some point there as well. But I know we've been talking about Notre Dame. We were talking about Sam Hartman a little bit earlier. They beat Navy 42-3. We all know that Notre Dame is one of those teams where it feels like, okay, they got overrated to start the season, but with a performance like that, is that something for Notre Dame, or is this just more a whole lot of nothing because it is Navy?
Yeah. I think it because it's Navy, because of the rivalry and whatever. But like I said, the same scenario goes for Notre Dame too. You got Clemson on your schedule. You're gonna be playing soon. You got other teams on your schedule, so you really gonna have to. These guys gonna have to really show what their team is really made of, because everybody has so much high hopes for Notre Dame last year, where they was out the gate struggling, and yeah, they got that win against Clemson, which I think they'll beat Clemson again this year. But I think now they have a quarterback there that really could, neutralize a lot that they didn't have before. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Notre Dame does week by week. I mean, they got what, like a cupcake game? So
they got a scrimmage. They got Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Take the word state out of that, and that becomes a very big game, but that is what it is. But Dante, what were your impressions with Sam Hartman and Notre Dame last week?
My impressions were from the run game. They were really good, grounding and pounding. I actually thought, Navy came out with a good game plan, was running the football. It seemed like they were killing them running it, but they started turning the ball over. The fumble hurt them pretty bad. Well, Sam Hartman, his pocket presence, him able to step up in the pocket, make some throws, find open wide receivers, even though someone was check downs, but whatever you got to do just to move the ball, that's what you do. You do that. Whatever you got to do to keep the chains moving. But the running game was definitely a big key. The defense, it's Navy. It's nothing really I can give out that game, but they look very good. They supposed to do that versus Navy, especially at home. But like I say, the real tests don't come until after they play Central Michigan. To me, the real tests don't come because you got Ohio State. Ohio State. So am I really convinced by them beating up on Navy that they're a real team and they're a college football team? Yeah, they're a 10-2 team. They that's a team that can go 10-2, 11-2, win a bowl, possibly win a bowl game, but I still not sold on Notre Dame, because it's always going to be a letdown game they have. Just like last year, you're thinking, okay, it's no shame in losing to Ohio State. Ohio State, they're a good team. They is in the shoe, and they played a good game. They played a hell of a game. Really, actually, they held the offense down, and CJ Stroud was able to march them down the field, make big play after big play. Just showed you how great of a quarterback he was, and him and Marvin Harrison Jr. shows how great of a duo they was at that point of time, going down the field and beating them. But then you go up against the third and herd at home, and you get routed. You get dominated, physically dominated. So these are the type of games, that you think, you say, hey, this team's just not, I don't know when they're going to break it. I don't know when they're going to, this team's so talented, got the right head coach, but you just don't know when they're going to finally break through the mark. But interesting game, even though NC State did struggle, they got NC State and NC State. That may not be an easy game. That may not be an easy game, but that's a game you will pick Notre Dame to still win.
Mm-hmm.
Game you will still pick Notre Dame to win, but that game could be an upset alert in NC State. You got Ohio State right after Central Michigan, and you got USC. You got USC. You got USC on the 14th. I think they can potentially lose that game. They also can win it too. Because USC's defense is not great. You play Clemson, like Martin said, at Clemson. Like Martin said, he think Clemson they can beat Clemson. I think they can beat Clemson too, but I also think Clemson can come out and beat them as well. But you still got some games to play. So that's a good win against Navy, but I'm not quite so on what Notre Dame can do, because they're gonna, to me, they're a very good team, but they're a very good 10 and 2 team.
Yeah,
they will be good. They will be good, but not good enough to make it to a top 4. Just not good enough to make it to a top 4.
Because I had seen a poll earlier, and I might actually go ahead and post this to you guys. Obviously, Notre Dame, their 3 biggest games left are going to be Ohio State, Clemson, USC. I know it's only week 1, but seeing how they played week 0, how much of a percentage do you give them to beat Ohio State, Clemson, and USC?
Man, that's tough, to be honest with you, because I kind of like Clemson. I don't know what Clemson is really right now. They haven't been the same team since Trevor Lawrence left. So they got a good defense, but you still could score on them. That's the point. Sam Hartman with Wake Forest last year should have beat them. If Miami had a good team last year, could have beat Clemson. So which Clemson team that we gonna look for this year? We don't know, because they all the hype is about, they got Lincoln Riley's brother over there, but that still ain't the same as Lincoln Riley. So I don't know what Clemson is going to be until I see them play Monday night. But Notre Dame, can they upset them? I think they can. They could go into Clemson, which I might end up taking in that game this year, since I'm a little closer to them. So I don't know, but Notre Dame, Dante said it, they kind of like a roller coaster. You don't know Notre Dame team you're gonna get. They could be on this 2-game, 3-game winning streak, that all of a sudden hit a wall quick. Even though as bad as NC State looked the other night, they play teams tough. They play all the big teams tough. That's the beauty of NC State. So I really don't know. I want to give Notre Dame the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, because they could probably get in a shootout with USC. That could be a shootout game between both quarterbacks. Then they could turn around and lose. So I don't see them making the college playoff, I could say that much. I think out of those 3 games, they could probably either lose 2 or win 2 of them and still lose 1. So.
Okay. And then Dante, what about you?
For Clemson, it's all about Cade Klubnik. Can he be consistent? We already know DJU was really inconsistent. He was basically hyped up, becoming one of the best top high school quarterbacks. Then he comes in, he plays Notre Dame after Trevor Lawrence was out during the COVID era. And he comes in, he lights Notre Dame up. They still lose the game, but that left the first impression. After Trevor Lawrence, you kind of feel confident after Trevor Lawrence left that you still had a quarterback in place. But the moment he played Georgia, he was scared to death when he played Georgia. He was scared to death when he played them. And he was never the same. After he played Georgia, he was never the same. Defense was able to game plan for him. He was too inconsistent. And their defense just is not as good as it seemed the last couple of years when they had Trevor Lawrence, when they had a Deshaun Watson, when their defense used to be actually shut down defense. But other than that, Clay Cudney got to be consistent. If he can be consistent, I think Clemson's going to always be a tough team Is they a top 4 team? Is they good enough to be in the top 4? No, they're not good enough to be in the top 4. I believe Florida State may be the best team in the ACC conference. Outside of you got North Carolina, who made the ACC championship game, but do I trust their defense? No, their defense is not even good, not good anyway. I think Drake May is a good quarterback, but he lost a lot of guys on the offensive side of the ball. So how is this offensive guys? What is going to be? Who's going to be a big playmaker for Drake May? That's what it all comes down to. It. He lost a lot of it to the draft. Their defense already isn't good, so you can probably see a drop off in North Carolina. You can probably see a drop off, but right now, when you see LSU versus Florida State look like the team that could run the ACC. They can run the ACC and get to the ACC title game as of right now. That like the strongest team in the ACC. You're gonna always give Clemson a chance because of Dabo Swinney. You're gonna always give them an opportunity. But if Clay Cudney can stay consistent, that shows you that I think the team will be pretty much fine. But they're not a top 4 team. They're not a top 4 team. Like I said, I don't got a fourth team. I don't got a 4th team in the top 4. I just only got 3 teams, and it's the reason why I don't got a fourth team. What I gotta see middle of the season, I would have maybe I would have a 4th team in there.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask you a question: Who is your top 3 right now?
Well, Georgia's top 3. I got Michigan, and I got a dark horse as a 3rd, Utah, because I think Utah gonna beat USC. I think Utah could beat USC.
A lot of people giving Penn State a lot of love. A lot of people talk about Penn State. I want to go, Ian, if you don't mind, because I wanted to touch on what Dante said about North Carolina.
Yeah, go for
it. Since Drake May lost a lot of weapons, and we know this happened to Sam Howell. Sam Howell was projected to be a 1st round pick.
Yep.
And when he lost all his weapons, he even though he had a good season, but it wasn't what expected, and he dropped in the draft to the 1st round.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's going to happen to Drake May also, because they project him to be a number 2 pick behind Caleb Williams. You're saying, so if that's the case, and North Carolina is that bad, which I do. I'm not going to even get my picks yet, but I see that North Carolina struggling because, like you said, Florida State is that team right now that looks like they primed to take the next step. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing for Clemson is until they can see what they got in Cade Klubnik, I think they're gonna rely on the running game a lot more than they did last year with DJ. So, and that's, I think, a lot of teams probably going to be a little bit more prepared for Clemson if they have to be a more running attack team because they don't know what they got in Cade.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I could definitely see that. I think Clemson's going to be a huge question mark, and we're going to get into their matchup here in just a little bit. But we're going to throw you a bone here, Martin.
All right.
Your Miami versus Miami, where Miami beat Miami 38-3 in Miami. Which Miami won?
Do we need to go that route? I'm gonna recap that game because I still have to do a video on it later today. I was too tired last night to function because I think they. For what I seen from Miami, I like what I seen, but I do have concern. Mm-hmm. I think they was trying to press too hard in the first half. I think they want to come out and smack them so bad in the face because of what the quarterback said about them being the real Miami. And they, when a team comes out, they try too hard and they kind of throw themselves off rhythm. So by the second quarter, they settled down a little bit and got in it because Kobe Young is a beast. I mean, the dude is like 6'6", and he slimmed down from being a thick receiver last year to be now a more slender breakout guy. The running game looked good. It started catching fire a little bit later in the game. The defense played awesome. That's what I wanted to see. The defense not giving up big plays. Yeah, they had some play. Miami, Ohio had a little bit plays here and there, but when the game is pretty much in hand, what I'm saying, you're gonna get some little chunk plays here and there. But Miami did what they needed to do. I still want to see more from the offense. I think maybe they held some back last night because they do have a big game next week with Texas A&M. So maybe they didn't want to show too much on film, for Texas A&M to start looking at and say, oh, well, this is what they like to do. So they kind of play. I think they play, okay. But have there's been any more improvement from last year? Absolutely. This team looks totally different from what they looked like last year. Because last year when they played schools like this, they was getting beat up on. Now last night they was the team beating up on them, and that's how Miami looked. The offensive line you could see the offensive line starting to gel together a little bit more. They started pushing guys around and being a little bit physical. That's Mario Cristobal's philosophy. He wants you to be physical in the trenches on both sides of the ball. And so, but we already know which Miami won last night. It's the one out of South Florida. So, I mean, there's only one Miami, true Miami, you know what I'm saying? So the Miami, Ohio, hey, Redhawks, you're all right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to, you just don't talk when a team has a lot to prove coming into the season. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, is this something that you actually liked looking forward to, seeing Miami against Miami, or is this just one of those, okay, their quarterback talked enough, let's just go punch him in the mouth and move on?
Yeah, I just wanted to, regardless if he talked or not, I wanted Miami to come out and not let a team like this start getting some kind of momentum and thinking that they have a chance to win and everybody start talking like, well, Miami's still struggling. I wanted them to come out and do. I mean, I can't emphasize enough of how gradually improved this team looks. Especially and honestly, even when Emory Williams came in the game in the last part of the fourth quarter and he got them in scoring position and they scored, I like what I see that's what I wanted to see, the others, more so than the starters. Because when you get up a big score, I want to see guys come in the game, get some reps, what they look like. Because now you have other guys that could come in and step up. You could broaden your offense a little bit better against other teams. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to stick to the basic because you need to be a little bit more physical, or I say not ready. You got guys not ready because Georgia, Alabama, they do it all the time. They get a big lead on you by halftime. They probably putting their second strings in. They getting a lot of attention and burn, and then they already know how to work their personnel when they start playing against tougher teams. You know what I'm saying? Because you get like, oh, this guy could come in, he could contribute doing this. Or I could bring Dante in, he could do this right here. So that's what I wanted to see from Miami. And I like what they see because number 88, the tight end that we got, because we lost Will Mallory, but we didn't know what Miami tight end situation looked like until later on. So I said, okay, now I'm starting to see other guys come in and do the things that they do. The defense was hitting. When they was hitting, they wanted to be physical with them. They was knocking them all over the place. And I was like, that's what I want to see them do. If they take this into Texas A&M next week and win, rather be close or blowout, and win this game, Miami is going to be they have a stretch before they even get to North Carolina. And if they ride that momentum and build a good, solid unit, they could be dangerous in the ACC this year. They definitely could be dangerous.
Okay. And then if you had to put a number I guess, on your Hurricanes, what do you feel would probably be the most comfortable as far as a win-loss record after seeing what they did the other night?
I gave them 9 wins, but projectionally, I could see them get it probably 10. I mean, 'cause I think Clemson, North Carolina, I mean, no, Clemson and Florida State is going to be their toughest game. North Carolina always give us the fits, but I think this year is going to be different. I think it's going to be different, but that's only if they could get past Texas A&M. If they lose that game, then that's what we play 12 games, so that'd be 8, 9, 10, 11, what, 9, 10, 11, 12? Yeah, that'd be 9 wins for them. So I put them at 9 wins. Can they get 10? There's a possibility, but I put it right at 9 wins because I think that their schedule sets up for them to run off a bunch of wins before they get into the heart and soul of their schedule towards the end of the year.
Definitely. Definitely. No, I think Miami's got a very solid shot, at least trying to make it interesting. I know the ACC, they've started to do the whole non-division thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So where it's literally just going to be the top two teams, and you keep bringing up Florida State. And it's weird for me to hear you actually hyping up Florida State. They're your in-state rivals here, but they've probably got the biggest game of week one
Mm-hmm.
on Sunday night, traveling to Orlando. I'm not sure if the game got moved because of the hurricane or if this was originally planned to go to Orlando. But Jaden Daniels, Brian Kelly, and the Tigers are coming down to Florida as well for a part two, I guess, almost, if we want to call it that, from the block field or the block PAT game from
Mm-hmm.
last season that sent Florida State up to the skies as far as momentum, and then unfortunately they came crashing down a little bit. Where LSU, they just kind of carried on, did what they needed to do. But Dante, what are you looking for in this LSU Florida State matchup?
I'm looking for a good and physical ball game. Jaden Daniels had a great season last year with LSU. He's not. He doesn't. He's not. He doesn't do very well throwing the ball up the field. He's an ultimate game manager, and there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you don't turn the ball over, I'm okay with it. And you give your team an opportunity to win, I'm okay with that. And that's what Jaden Daniels does. He gives his team an opportunity to win. They beat Alabama last year. I mean, I'll say game wasn't great, but hey, he gave his team an opportunity to win. He didn't help it. He didn't hurt his team with turnovers, and that's what Jaden Daniels is. He's a smart football player, smart quarterback. He don't put the team in harm's way or nothing like that. He's just an ultimate game manager. And like I say, it's nothing wrong with being a game manager. Nothing wrong with not throwing the ball away and giving your team an opportunity and not throwing the ball away in certain situations. Okay, realizing the third and 10. Don't throw a turnover right here. Give your team a chance. Give your team a chance to punt the ball away and hope your defense stops them. And that's what they did a lot last year. It was a game away from making it to the college football playoff last year. They were the championship game away, the SEC championship game away from making it. And so we already know they ran into the buzzsaw. They ran into the big bus. They ran into that big bus that pretty much ran them over pretty much. But other than that, I think this is going to be a smart, good physical football game for both teams. Johnny Wilson coming back from Florida State, big 6'7", physical wide receiver. Jared Verse, who should be a first-round pick next year in the NFL draft. The running backs, Benson, Tuafilo, they got all those guys coming back. So, and plus Jordan Travis, who had a solid, underrated season last year, who's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. But other than that, I think this is going to be a physical game. I think it's going to be a close football game tomorrow night, and we're looking for a treat tomorrow night. But I do got Florida State winning the game a little bit close, though. But it wouldn't surprise if LSU wins the game. This is a 50-50 game. I think the game goes either way.
Well, my sentiments on that, because I don't want Florida State to win at all. So I rooted against them last year. LSU should have had that game, but I think LSU, Chip Kelly, and that offense and the quarterback, I think LSU is going to be a little bit better than it was last year. Could it be another close game? Because they got them, 2.5 favorite? Yeah,
Yep.
I can see. I give them what? I go with the spread to make it 3, even 3. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely going with LSU. Just because all sense of purposes, I don't want Florida State to win. I want them to I want them to suffer their early season loss. So, and then whenever they play Clemson, that's up in the air. As long as the Hurricanes can get their revenge from them this year, I'll be happy. But I don't want them to, because if Florida State definitely wins this game, they going to be riding the momentum that's like no other. And then, they could be that team. They could be your dark horse to slip in that number 4 spot. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I think no matter how this game goes, I don't think either team's eliminated from playoff contention, but I do believe that it makes it that much harder for either team, because LSU, say they take their first L right here against number 8, more than likely they'll probably fall maybe to 10, maybe to 12 at the absolute worst, but then they still have to run through the entire SEC West. And let's be honest, it's difficult. It's still probably one of the toughest divisions in all of college football right now. But on the flip side, if Florida State loses, that means if they want to run the table, they would more than likely have to beat Clemson twice. They would have to beat Miami. They would have to beat North Carolina. It feels like it would almost be tougher for them, because right now, Florida State, I don't think the pros like them. They're only giving them a 7% chance of making the college football playoff. A loss here drops them all the way down to 3%, where LSU, they're currently at 19%. They've got a little bit better odds if they lose, but not much better. It drops them from 19% down to 6%.
Wow.
So, but right now, the numbers keep flexing just a little bit, but right now they're saying LSU, if you believe in a football power index, awesome. I tend to believe in it. They're saying right now they're projecting LSU to win, giving them about a 65% chance. So I think it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be LSU's game to lose as well. I think there's going to be a lot of change and a lot of what are we going to do to try to keep up as far as what Florida State wants to do. I know Jordan Travis, he's a projected early season Heisman favorite to go along with your Drake Mays, your Caleb Williams, things of that nature. I just don't know how well it'll work against LSU's defense now that Brian Kelly has his hands all over that team. Whereas last season, they were able to come out and surprise everybody. This season, I don't think they're going to be able to necessarily do that, especially starting with that number 5 in front of their name instead of starting completely unranked. So, but that's just my take on it. Cool coming in saying that LSU FSU is the game of the week. Yes, it is. It is the only ranked top 25 matchup for the entire week 1 slate. He also says Miami and UNC aren't going to be that good. So, Martin, you've already got haters in the comment section.
Cool, don't do that. Cool. Don't do that. Miami is gonna be good this year.
Cool. Miami fans.
Yeah, Miami is gonna be good. Trust me, Miami is gonna be good. They might not be what we want them to be this year.
Hey, cool, man. Don't make Martin cry, man, like he did last year. Don't make Martin do that, man. Trust me. Trust me. My confidence for both of my teams this year is so high. You know what I'm saying? It's so high. That's why I say I give Miami a 9-win season. I don't expect them to do more than what they need to. Now, can any unpredictability for Miami to beat teams this year? Yeah, because nobody's really expecting anything from them. They all expecting the worst from Miami. So now these guys are going to have to go out each week and show what they can do. And I think this team is primed to make some good strides this year. They will be a bowl eligible, and they will win 8 to 9 games, like I predict. I'm not saying they're going out there and being the national championship.
They like I'll say about 3 years away from that. You know what I'm saying? But I think each stride is a good thing with them. You know what I'm saying? So for what I seen last night and what they could capitalize on, like I say, they win next week's game. It's going to tell me a whole lot how this team is going to go the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. No, I can get that for sure. But I know, Dante, you brought up Cade Klubnik here a little bit earlier. Clemson traveling to Duke. I know it doesn't seem like a huge game, especially just kind of face value here. But appease me here. What if Duke actually does the impossible here and beats Clemson? I mean, I know it's a stretch, but I think it might actually be worth something because Duke, I don't know what it is about it, but I woke up almost feeling like Duke may be able to do something today or on Monday night. I don't understand it. I know I'm probably going to end up getting a bottle of water and then I'm going to change my opinion 100% on this. But, say if Duke pulls the upset special here on Monday night, how much trouble is Clemson going to be in?
Oh, they're being
poor trouble.
They're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
They're in poor trouble. I mean, let's not. Duke went about 7-4 last year, so Duke was okay. They turned their years around since being a dumpster fire the last year before and a couple of years ago. This program had no direction. So last year, this program did a great job. I mean, I'll say I wouldn't like again. I mean, I guess that's just how bad Miami were last year. I mean, you know Miami to beat Duke in basketball, but come on, this is football. This is football. And again, I think Clemson last year, I knew they weren't going to be good because they struggled against Georgia Tech last year. In the first game, actually, they struggled in the first game. Last year, that game was close in the first half, actually, between Georgia Tech and Clemson. And so Brian Breesy then was able to get pressure on the quarterback. So it's a possibility that I think Duke can go in the half with the game is really close. And against a team like Clemson, you want to try to put a team like Duke away quick as possible. You don't want to give them no feeling that they can stay in that game and win that game and go down a stretch and pull off a miracle victory. So if they somehow lose the game Monday night, that's going to show you how not so good they are. It's also going to show you what type of quarterback Cade Klubnik will be. If they're going to lose. If they lose, that means he's going to struggle. The offensive side of the ball is going to be a struggle. But that just shows you how good their team is not going to be if they come out and lose to Duke. They come out and get embarrassed by Duke. That just shows you how good their team is really not going to be. So other than that, I think Clemson is going to pull it out. But again, if I'm going to be surprised, I may not be surprised that Duke may be better than what we all think. But for the sake of it, I'm still taking Clemson. I think Clemson will be the better football team, but the game is close. Hey, look out.
Yeah, I went back and forth with this with some Clemson people that I work with, and can Duke pull out the upset? Maybe. But I don't. Like I said, I don't know what Clemson is really. I mean, from looking at them last year, yeah, you got a great defense, but honestly, if your offense can't really, I mean, most of the games they played last year was in a dogfight. They should have lost more games last year than they really won. I mean, there was like the Wake Forest game. That was a close game. They should have lost that game. They lost the game against Notre Dame. I think it was either one or two more games on the schedule that they should have lost. So me thinking that Duke has a chance, I think Duke has a chance if they play mistake-free football. That's the key. A team like Clemson, you know they are struggling. You know they coming in the season with a lot of questions. But you don't want to give a team like that momentum because the fact of the matter is that if you have a team on the ropes, we see this in the NFL a lot. we get teams on the ropes, and all of a sudden you make one bonehead play. Let's go back to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts didn't fumble. Guess what? Philly would have been the world champs.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's simple mistakes. Can Duke play that? Maybe, but they haven't shown that through the years. But they have had decent teams that could compete. And I think if they pull off this shocker Monday night on national TV, whew, boy, look at here. Up there in Clemson, but it might be another hurricane coming through.
Yeah, Hurricane Cameron is, I think, what we'll end up calling that one.
Yeah.
Duke does pull. I mean, it is in Cameron, North Carolina, but not only that. I mean, there's a lot of turnover at Clemson, but not only that. I know a lot of us are kind of picking Florida State to win the ACC, but Clemson doesn't really have much of a cakewalk. They've still got to play Florida State at least once. They still get to play Notre Dame. They still got to play North Carolina. Oh, and let's not forget, they still have that team from South Carolina that mollywopped them last season. And no, I didn't forget that game either. So, I mean, if Clemson is going to even have a hope at winning or making the college football playoff, it almost feels like they probably have one of the toughest routes there. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. And then, Martin, I know you brought it up earlier. Penn State?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about Penn State being that team that can like make it into the college playoffs. Now they do have an uphill battle. You know, they got Michigan and Ohio State. Franklin hasn't beat Ohio State, but if he could beat Ohio State this year, and you know, depends on how Michigan comes out this year. I mean, they have a chance. They do have a shot to win the conference, you know, and get into the playoff. But they have to beat two of the top teams that have been there. And, you know, Michigan has had Ohio State number for the last couple of seasons now. I mean, we don't know what Ohio State is. I mean, Michigan, they still have a chance to be a repeat, but I think Penn State they're going to have a lot to say this year. So that's been the talk about Penn State right now, saying that, hey, they do have a shot, but, you know, they do have two big hurdles that they got to overcome also over there.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say they're bringing up the nightcap and they're bringing West Virginia into Happy Valley. And, I mean, Dante, this feels like a game that Penn State – almost similar to what USC had with San Jose State. This is one of those games I feel Penn State needs to be able to put away West Virginia very early if they're going to take Penn State seriously, especially with starting at number 7 in the AP.
Yeah, I think one of Virginia. This is going to be one of the. I think it's going to be pretty much a close game for the first half, I believe. Just because West Virginia can score. We already know if you watch the Big 12 football, they rarely play any type of defense. And these are one of these teams that can score, but won't be good on the defensive side of the ball. So if Penn State can't put them away early, it could be a long, long football game for actually Penn State, to be honest with you, if they don't put West Virginia away early, because they will be able to score on the offensive side of the ball. And if they're scoring consistently, Penn State defense, that means Penn State defense is really struggling bad to get off the football field. I think Penn State is going to better score up on them. They got to start running the football. They got to slow this game down. This is going to want to be one of these football games. They're going to have to use the running game a lot. They're going to have to slow it down, and they're going to have to get some defensive stops. This is going to have to be a physical ground and pound game for Penn State for them to gut it out and win, because, again, hey, West Virginia is one of these two teams, you know, one of these teams that can put points on the board in a heartbeat. And I think Penn State will win this game. I think they will win this game. I think the first half will be close. And I think Penn State will start using the run game a lot more in the second half. And it's going to wear and tear on the West Virginia Mountaineers. And but one of these games, again, I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. But again, if you watch Big 12 football, again, These are one of these teams that can score the football. They're going to throw the ball a lot. They're going to throw it a lot. Not going to run it too much. Try to make it into a track meet. If you're West Virginia, you try to make this game into a track meet. If you make this game into a track meet, they have an opportunity to win this game. If Penn State slows it down, use the run game, and get physical at the line of scrimmage, they're going to win this game. They're going to win the game. So I got Penn State by 2 touchdowns, by 14 points in this game.
All right, Martin, what are you thinking?
I mean, I agree with Dante. I think Penn State, they gotta, like, especially with all the national media buzz around them right now, they gotta come out and make a statement against West Virginia. I don't think West Virginia is a good team this year. But again, if you don't come out and put a team away that's bad, that you know is bad, and it gets into a dogfight, that's going to resonate how well they could be. From what I have heard, they said Penn State could be the TCU of this year. Now, for what all sense of purposes that mean, TCU had almost 10 one-score games, last year, and still made it there. But Penn State, they can't do that because they can't be the TCU because TCU was in the Big 12, you in the Big 10. Everybody in the Big 10 plays competitive football and capable of beating you. You know what I'm saying? So you can't have one-score games. You got to go out and annihilate these teams out the gate. And if Penn State does that, they jump on them like 21-0. Then you know what? Then they could coast perfect throughout the game and say, okay, yeah, boom, we got them where they want to. But if they sit there and go back and forth, have their first scoring drive, they don't score on, or they get their second scoring drive, they don't score on them, and then all of a sudden West Virginia find a way to put points on the board, then you get some kind of sense of urgency. You got to go out there and start attacking these teams quickly, especially knowing that, hey, all eyes is on us. Because you lose to West Virginia, all that hype, momentum that people been talking about you goes out the window. Because guess what? You have to win every game from that point on.
Yep.
To even have a chance. So, like I said, I agree with Dante wholeheartedly. Penn State gotta come out firing. They just can't play around.
Yeah. You look at Penn State. You lose this game. You play around with this game if you want to. Illinois is not going to be a slouch. Not in Illinois. You should be able to beat Northwestern, but you got Ohio State. Ohio State in the shoe, and Ohio State. That's a game you very much can lose. You very much can lose that type of ball game. So then you go to Maryland. Maryland is not going to be easy. They got
not at all.
When you go, Ohio State almost lost to Maryland last year. Then you play Michigan. You got to play Michigan right after Maryland. That's a tough stretch. That's a tough 2 stretch you got to go through. So if you lose this game, that's three losses you looking at already. But this West Virginia game, if they lose this game, I think that will end Penn State's season. I know your season doesn't define after one game, but the way the schedule looks, you lose to Penn State. You lose this game tonight. I don't think they will beat Michigan, and I don't think they will beat Ohio State. Not in Ohio State. I don't think they will end up doing that. Even Michigan State can be tough. The last game that can be tough. So you lose this game, your season can be over already before it even gets started all the way.
Let me ask you a question. And this, Ian, too, you could jump in on this one. If Penn State loses to West Virginia and they don't have a good season, what happens to Franklin?
And I was actually going to get into that. So I think, well, let me preface everything with this. If West Virginia does pull the impossible here, Penn State, their chances go from 13% to 2%.
See?
It feels like they've got the most to lose. But I also think that seat in Happy Valley becomes white hot, as white as that whiteout gets at Penn State. Because you've had multiple seasons to try to build a juggernaut of a team. I understand that you're in the Big Ten East, probably the second toughest division in all of college football behind the SEC West. But there is still yet to be a season where James Franklin has led Penn State to beat both Ohio State and Michigan in the exact same calendar season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you take an L here, you might as well start putting in your application to start working somewhere else, because this is the most hype that I've seen behind Penn State in quite some time. But a loss to West Virginia in your recent history against the two big teams in your division in Ohio State and Michigan, you might as well start writing yourself out of the college football playoff entirely. No
Mm-hmm.
matter how close you play either of those teams, let alone, if you get a win, fantastic. But for you to win both, you haven't been able to show it no matter how good your talent's been. And, kudos to Penn State. I don't think they're as good as we've seen teams in the past come out of Nittany there. So, but that's just my personal take on it. But yeah, I think if for some reason West Virginia does pull the stunner here, you've got to start looking in other places, James Franklin. I'm sorry. You have to at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Dante, what are your feelings on that?
Yeah, like I said, like you just said, if they lose this game today, their season could be over before it even got started. But you might well just get your pink slip prepared if they lose, if they were to lose. So you might well just go ahead and get it prepared.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of one of those fun teams that also reside in the Big Ten East, Ohio State at Indiana. I just want to touch on this one real quick because right now, you would think that Georgia probably has the safest bet to make the college football playoff. They don't. It is actually Ohio State at almost 71% likability to make the college football playoff, and they haven't even played a single down yet. They're still don't know what exactly they're going to be doing at quarterback, but we all know that they've got enough talent on the offensive side of the ball to keep the quarterback afloat, even if he only becomes a game manager in Travion Henderson. And wait, who's that wide receiver? Oh, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, they're going to do whatever it feels like they want to do to this Indiana club. But, I'm a sucker for chaos. I'm not saying that Indiana's going to do it because I'll be honest, I don't see a shot in God's green earth that Indiana does pull the stunner at Indiana later this afternoon. But Ohio State, it almost feels like their toughest competition comes at the end of the season against Michigan. Or am I wrong?
I think Ohio State, they do play games that they kind of like escape a little bit in throughout the season when you really think they should lose. But then when they get up to play Michigan, and Michigan is already rolling through the season, it's hard to get up for that game, because last year Michigan was like, they was jumping on everybody. I mean, on Penn State, they jumped on Ohio State, made Ohio State had to fight to like stay in the game a little bit, and they just couldn't really contend with them. I think Ohio, with CJ Stroud is not there, so I mean, the only person they really banking on is Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, he's a good wide receiver, but I mean, I'm sure they got other talent on there. But it's just you got, like I say, all these teams that we talking about right now has question marks. They all have question marks, and they have lost some players to the NFL. How well can they regroup? Because they already talking about Day being fired too if he can't beat Michigan this year. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot with Ohio State and James Franklin over there for Penn State. These squads it's like Michigan is the Ohio State now in that conference. You have to beat them to pretty much save your job. So what does that do for Ohio State? They can't play around this year either. Just like we talked about Penn State. Ohio State can't play around. Yeah, even though they might be a high percentage sure shot to get in the playoffs, But is that guaranteed? No. Because look at Alabama last year. Everybody was trying to push Alabama into the playoffs so bad. So it took like TCU just to continue to escape game after game after game to get in there to make sure that somebody like Alabama don't get in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting, especially with Alabama. I mean, Dante, I think I told you my sneaky feeling about the Tide and how the SEC West is going to shake out last week, but I'll refresh you, Martin, here. I think that Alabama once again misses the SEC championship game
Mm-hmm.
because I know that they're starting Jalen Milroe today. So, yeah, Alabama's going to walk whoever the heck they're playing later this afternoon.
Yeah.
We all know it's coming. I'm starting to think that Nick Saban's slipping a little bit. I actually have LSU once again winning the SEC West.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Alabama, we starting to see a slight, I won't say a big, but I say a slight decline of their dominance. They still one of the top ranked recruiting teams in the college football. But as we notice now that some of these players they leaving because they want the opportunity to go somewhere to play. So see that the transfer portal has created something like free agency in the NFL, where kids say, "Well, you know what? I want to go to SMU. SMU got a pretty decent program. They already in the ACC coming next year. Players gonna want to play with them and build them up. Alabama, these guys get on there, they sit on the roster for 2 or 3 years, not getting to play. They're not, you know what? I want to go somewhere else. You can't go to Georgia because Georgia already stacked. So you might go to one of South Carolina, you might come to the ACC, the Big 12, whatever. So I see a slight decline in Alabama a little bit, not a whole lot, because Chip Kelly over there, you're going to have Texas and Oklahoma next year. So your chances of the only thing that's going to save Alabama is the 12-team playoff next year. That's what's going to save them. Mm-hmm. This year, yeah, I see them missing it. But next year, that's what's going to save Alabama.
And you're going to get more of those, piggybacking what you said, that you're going to get more one of these players, going to Colorado too because of Coach Prime. Because of Coach Prime as well. Kids want to go play for Coach Prime as well. So that program is going to also continue to come up too as well. Mm-hmm. The season they're going to have this year, I think they're going to be competitive this year. But what Coach Prime is building over there, you already had people within less. As soon as he went to CU, you already had kids, within 48 hours saying, "Can I come play for Coach Prime?" That just shows you how big of an attraction he got. And you have guys defecting from Alabama just to go play with, Coach Prime, and coaches don't like it. Coaches don't like it. And basically they showed on I wouldn't say cockiness, but again, he let the team know what was going to go down before it even started. And the coaches already know how much what he is. The coaches already know that he doesn't hide. He doesn't hold back. He's going to let you know how it is. And you brought up a perfect thing about Alabama. I mean, but this is with all teams. Coach Prime is going to pull some of these 5 stars, a lot of these 5 stars. And a lot of these 5 stars, with the Travis Hunters of the world leave, you're going to get some more guys coming right up in there, especially on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball want to play. So Coach Prime is going to be able to take some 5-star recruits away from Alabama, away from Alabama, and away from any team in really in the country. Yes, Alabama's still going to get their share of 5-star recruits. Texas is going to get theirs, but Coach Prime know how to get guys to buy in. He know how to.
Yeah. I like that dialogue you just throwing in with Coach Prime. I don't like to do comparisons too much. Just like Mario Cristobal over there in Miami, I think we seen such a different landscape because Dion's personality is so big, so big. Can you imagine what if Florida State had got him? If Florida State had got this guy, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that Novell is not doing a good job over there in Florida State, but just imagine. And you give Dion 2 years, 2 years at Colorado. They gonna be, I mean, they gonna be in a, they're gonna be a chance to be in the playoffs. They're probably gonna be a team that you don't want to play. Same thing. We talked about Florida State. I see the same thing in Miami. If this season becomes a success, because everybody's not expecting Miami to be good. Everybody's don't expect Dion. They don't want Dion to be good. But these guys been around football for so many years. They building it differently, but the way Dion building it, he's putting his name on the line. Ain't like he putting the school name on the line. This school, Colorado's entrusting him. They're giving him everything that he wants. You really don't get that from a college institution when you hire somebody in to give them everything they want. Now Dion put this team in a national championship map in 2 years. Guess what's going to happen? All these other big schools going to want to pull him. They're going to want to pull him. They're going to look at it. Florida State might get desperate and try to fire their coach just to bring Dion back home. You know what I'm saying? It's so many different scenarios in this stuff. But I do see Dion doing great things. I think this team will win some games from what they was last year. I don't think they're going to be the juggernaut that everybody think. I think it's going to be some growing pains, just like he did at Jackson State. It's levels to this. I love Dion. He's one of the great all-time cornerbacks in the NFL. His personality speaks for itself. I think, whatever he does today is not going to define Colorado's season, win or lose. It's not going to define their season because we already know what is going to expect Colorado to get back to relevancy. You know what I'm saying? So same thing with Florida State. It took Florida State years to really constantly get back. So it's taken Miami years. You see some changes, you know what I'm saying? And guess what? We looking at the Alabamas and Clemson taking a step back. You know what I'm saying? Georgia been the baby brother to Alabama for years. Now they taking the leadership. So you see a lot. Michigan, same way with Ohio State. You starting to see changes of the guard a lot more than we normally have with all of the same teams in the playoff. You're starting to see different, a lot of parity, a lot of variety and stuff. Like I rooted for Cincinnati 2 years ago. I rooted for TCU last year. So therefore, I love to see the parity. I love to see difference, and when it comes to college football, we get used to seeing the same team all the time, but change is good. Change is good because guess what? We might have a 64-32 league playoff system in the next 10, 15 years, the way realignment is going on right now. So there's going to be a lot of parity to pick from.
See, when I look at Colorado schedule, and I think me and Ian went over this, it's a 50-50 schedule. I mean, look, outside of Oregon, outside of USC, you can throw Oregon State up in there. You got UCLA, but it's a 50-50 schedule. Now, if they can come out and give TCU a dogfight, who I think they got a chance to do that because TCU lost a lot of talent as well to the NFL. They can have a good first impression. This team can win at least 6 games, but they can also lose a lot too because the schedule is so 50-50. Can they beat Nebraska? I think they can beat Nebraska. I think Nebraska is going to be improved because of Matt Rule coming over, from Carolina. I think Nebraska is going to be much improved, but I don't think there will be anything special. I think they make in that game is at home. That game is at home. Colorado State, we know they can beat Colorado State. So right there, you look at those 2 games. That may be more wins than you already had last year. You had 1 win last year. So by that statement, but not Coach Prime's statement, that's not improved. 2 wins, that's not improved in Coach Prime's statement. But in the school statement already, that's 2 wins right there. You can get, you're going to lose Oregon. I think they will lose Oregon and USC. Arizona State, that's a 50-50 game. Arizona State is not a good football team. That's a 50-50 game. Stanford, 50-50 game. You're at home. You should feel good about that one. That's probably 4 wins right there. You got already right there. UCLA, toss up in UCLA. You still will take UCLA to win. You still will take UCLA to win that game in UCLA. You got the best defense in the conference in Oregon State, but you got them at home though. But Oregon, you will take Oregon State. You have Arizona at home. You can win that game. You can beat Arizona. You can beat Washington State, even though Washington State is going to be tough. But then, I don't think you're going to beat Utah. So that your season can either be a 7-win season or a 5-win season, and that's not bad for the first year of Coach Prime. That's not bad.
Exactly.
So, being the Colorado resident here, I'll slide in here and take this one. So I'll start with this. Nebraska absolutely Nebraska'd their game on Thursday when you're up 10-3 with less than 5 minutes to go, and you still found a way to lose. They're 2-14 in one-score games in the last 3 seasons, so I don't think Nebraska's got a shot on September 9th at all. I think CU will beat CSU. I think CSU had probably the best recruiting class out of the Mountain West. I will give them that, but I also think that's partially the Deion Sanders effect. And the fact that you get to rub elbows with primetime potentially 4 times in your collegiate career. So I do think that that's another part of it. But I think you guys are right. I think a lot of fans here, I don't think there's a whole lot of playoff expectation this season because we need to see what Coach Sanders puts on the field. You know, we could easily see this going, 5-7, 6-6, and, potentially 7-5, potentially upsetting UCLA and Oregon State along the way. But I think you guys absolutely nailed it on the head as far as, where these wins can come from. But I don't think you could ask any true Buffs fan and be like, oh, you guys think you could beat USC right now? No. Do we think that we could beat Oregon? No. Utah? No. So, I mean, we know that there's work to be done. I think Vegas was generous in only giving Colorado the plus minus for the year as far as win totals at 3.5. There's also a part of me that fears that Colorado is going to be stuck in a lot of these close games and come up on the downside of it because there's so much new coming in. The new coach, you might as well call it an entirely new team because there's only 3 people returning from last season. There are 87. Yes, 87 new people on the roster for Colorado this season. So there's a lot of time for this team to gel. I just don't know if it's going to happen this week. I do think that I don't think TCU got that much worse because people tend to forget Max Duggan last year came in as a backup and still made it as the Heisman runner-up. TCU is bringing back their original starter. So it's not like TCU got any worse at quarterback. I mean, yes, you lose talent in your running back room, in your wide receiver room, but this game is also in Fort Worth. So, I keep seeing the spread switching from like 19.5 to 20.5. I still think either one, living in Colorado, this hurts me to say this, but I could see TCU like by 24, potentially even 28 today, just because there's going to be that many growing pains for the Buffs this season.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely think that's what the game, a lot of people are going to be tuning in here in about 30 minutes or so, because Big Noon Saturday's there down in Fort Worth, and then they're going to be right up here down the road in Boulder here next Saturday as well. So get ready for a lot of Coach Primetime on Fox. That's all I got to say.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's already said hit my theme music, and it's the Big Noon Saturday music. So,
and you know what's funny? A lot of people can't. If you have Spectrum, a lot of people can't watch ESPN today. That's a big blow.
Yeah, I heard about that the other day, and literally one of my friends was sitting down getting ready to watch the games, and then the message popped up saying that Disney was asking for too much money and blah
Yeah,
blah blah. And I'm just sitting here like, dang.
I
So
think.
glad I play for Fubo.
Yeah, right. I think, and also I heard that they lost like 50 million subscribers on that night with Florida and Utah.
Yep,
Man, that's tough.
it is, but it's unfortunately how the world's going to turn. So hopefully they can get it figured out. I mean, honestly, I think that, I know sports isn't a necessity, but COVID did say that sports is kind of a necessity for people to survive. So, I hope that the TV networks can get it worked out, especially since Disney seems to be taking over just about everything that they could get their hands on at this point.
No.
So,
Well, I hope Disney gets sold by getting bought by Apple, and if they do, then that's gonna be a good thing because I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, the last time I heard the numbers was 60 billion.
yeah.
So yeah, I hope Apple buys them, and I hope they go in a whole different direction. With especially with ESPN, they programming, First Take, and all of that stuff, all of it. Hope it go change into a whole nother different direction. Um, I do want to. I know y'all watch a lot of sports talk shows, and even though we do our own thing behind the scenes, in
Yep.
which I love what we do behind the scenes more so than what they do out there on mainstream media.
Hmm.
Now, I see a lot of people beating up on. I mean, we all know that Skip and Shannon didn't have the best relationship, even though they've been on it for years. But you got to commend what Skip has done, bringing all of these personalities in. I just seen Josina Anderson, and I think ESPN did her wrong when she was on NFL Live. I think
Mhm.
she did a great job. And good to see her over there. Now they was like, oh, the numbers is bad. I mean, yeah, you got to think they've been off the air for a month, over a month, trying to rebrand themselves. It's going to take time. Any rebranding takes time. It catches fire. Yeah, a lot of people don't like Skip. He's not one of my best either, but for him to take a different role, being a moderator and allowing everybody to have their own voice now, and it's kind of different, but I don't know because I kind of look for I kind of look I know a lot of us is on Twitter, X, whatever, see a lot of information there, and we where we do our shows and news columns and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think some of these mainstream shows like that, ESPN, First Take, and just Undisputed, I think they seen themselves having a hard time to compete with content creation guys that's you like us and the guys and females like ourselves put our content on YouTube, and a lot of people follow us more so than they follow them, and
Mhm.
they kind of trying to and that's why you see like Steven and Shannon Sharp and all of them trying to get into podcasting on YouTube or all their little stuff, try to gain more attention outside of that because it's a whole different ball game now. It's not that same the tension, us looking for sports news on TV all the time and can't find it, and we don't know where to go because back then a lot of us didn't like to read columns and stuff like that. Now we kind of like take in the columns more because there's always a story out there. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah, I will say this. I definitely looked forward to Undisputed back when it was Skip and Shannon because it was more one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
I think Skip I commend him for trying to step into that moderator role, but let's face it, that's not his thing in my opinion.
Exactly.
He's like what brought people to that show, even when he was on ESPN with Stephen A, was the outlandish takes at times, but there was at least some viable beef behind it with him being a writer for 30 plus years in Dallas and wherever
Mm-hmm.
else in the country he was. So I don't think I've taken in a new episode of The Undisputed yet. I just I don't know. It feels different, but it almost feels like they are just trying to blend in with every other multiple talking head show. I think that's what made Undisputed so special was that it was
Hmm.
straight up one-on-one. Like you tuned in for Skip or for Shannon. You
Yeah.
didn't tune in for a rotating cast of talking heads. And I feel like that's where a lot of people are turning on Undisputed because they're essentially becoming what First Take was. And for a while, a lot of people were bashing
Mm.
on First Take for doing this. But now people are going to be like, wait a minute, Shannon Sharp's going to First Take. They're going to go tune in there now. So I
Hmm.
don't know, but that's just my personal take on it. I feel like again, it's hard for me to really say anything on the matter because I haven't taken in a new episode yet. I just haven't. It's just also been a matter of when I wake up, calling cowards on, and yeah, I'm gonna tune into that no matter what. So
Yeah.
that's just me.
I I took on a few episodes just to see how it is and see
Mhm.
the nuance, and it was different, you know. Michael Irvin is Michael Irvin, so you know you that so if anybody's going out talk Skip is Michael Irvin. Keyshawn, he's Keyshawn. You know what I'm saying? Richard, I think me getting used to Richard talk a lot is kind of new for me. You know,
Mhm.
even though he was on, he still does his shows on Amazon Prime for Thursday Night Football, but I'm not used to seeing him talk. You know, giving his opinion. You know, it's just hear him do interviews. So I'm used to the others. You know, and then Rachel Nichols was on there, and now you got Justina Anderson, and I think they're gonna end up bringing more people.
Mhm.
I think they're gonna bring more people that kind of got slighted by ESPN or other stations. They're gonna bring them up there. I think Fox is going to go in a whole total different direction with their sports segment. I think Skip is could probably be a moderator, or he's probably going to end up turning that show over to one of them guys and move into probably and branch himself off into another show on Fox. You know, so I could see that happening. You know, like how Joy Taylor was with Colin Coward on the herd. She was with him, and then she ended up going to taking over Speak. You know,
Yep.
with after Marcella Raleigh, he was on there and they left. Now
Mhm.
that show is a little bit different, because they got a full panel. It was a 2-person panel, so a lot of people got used to Marcella Raleigh and Archo on there, and then after a while, kind of like boom. And I think, to me, if Skip moves away from it and allow put another female presence in there, I think Undisputed will survive a whole lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think let a female be the host and a moderator of it, and have it like it's almost an NFL live segment. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I think that will work for him, and just let him move on off the air. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, like you said, that's not his forte, being a moderator. Because you could tell he's kind of awkward out of there. He wants to do something different, but you could tell he wants to get in there and debate. He wants to be fiery. You know what I'm saying? So,
He need to get in his Cowboys talk with Michael Irvin.
oh my gosh, that's a 3-hour segment.
Well, I mean, you have that, and then also you now have Lil Wayne popping up every Friday now
Oh yeah,
as well. So, I
exactly.
mean, I think that it's an interesting direction where they're going with Undisputed. I personally might not agree with it 100%, but I can applaud them trying.
Oh, also they
I'll
have.
say that.
I think the Wednesday segment, somewhere in their Wednesday segment, they have like Yellow Beezy and somebody else that come in there and they talk. I think they Green Bay Packer fans, so they come in and talk about football. Yellow Beezy, he's a rapper.
Mhm.
So, and then I think, and he also do something with the fans as well. Where
Yeah,
they could tweet Undisputed, and he'll push their tweets on the air and answer the question. So that's a little something different.
that is. I do like the social aspect. But Dante, you've been quiet this entire time. unmute yourself. Get back in this.
I know, right?
Big fan of off the stuff, off the sports. I'm like in the shows and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Hey,
So
I agree with you, man. I mean, it's different, man. It's not like how it used to be. That's why I said I love watching y'all. I'd rather watch y'all and listen to y'all talk than listen to them, because some of the information be sometimes misleading. Cause they just ramble on and on and on and on and on and on, and they never get to the point.
today we're going to talk about LeBron James. Sir, it's the NBA Finals and it's the Nuggets and Heat. We're going to talk about LeBron James. No.
Prime example.
Stop that. Trust me. Being in Denver, I heard it way too much, my guy. There's a reason why we were booing ESPN out the building when they decided to present the Western Conference Finals, and Lisa Salters, who says she had only seen one Nuggets game, had to go out there and present the Western Conference Championship trophy. It wasn't because we were booing everybody else. We weren't booing the Lakers fans. No, we were booing her because literally analysts were coming out and saying that they weren't doing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's what it helps somewhat being a fan, but also being unbiased and being willing to talk about everybody. So, but that's me. But I mean, there's also people now apparently dumping mayonnaise on their head out in Carolina ahead of this North Carolina, South Carolina game, just to get back to football here. Yeah, there was somebody who dumped a 5-gallon bucket of mayo on their head earlier.
Oh my God. Strange times that we live in.
Yeah, college game day is getting a little bit weird out here. But, I mean, they do call it the Mayo Bowl for a reason. So, I mean, I really can't think of a better first week matchup for UNC or South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Let's just get this Carolina debate out the way. Who's the better Carolina? I mean, South Carolina, they kind of showed a little bit of it last season, ending the season, beating Tennessee, beating Clemson, and then, having that dogfight with Notre Dame in the bowl game. Where UNC, yeah, you have Drake May out there, but at the same time, you lose a few weapons. Spencer Rattler, could he lead the Gamecocks to an upset?
I think he can. I think what he did against Clemson last year was not just an admiration, but what to look forward to for South Carolina. When you could get a great quality, not a good quality quarterback, but a great quality quarterback from because Spencer Rattler wasn't getting no love in Oklahoma. He was projected to be in the draft the last few years, and he got benched. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, his name kept being thrown out there. This pick for this team. Even they had us as the Commanders picking him if he had came out that year. So, I mean, he kind of like resurrect his career. And you've seen it before. Quarterbacks leave somewhere. Jalen Hurts from Alabama, go to Oklahoma. Boom. What happens? Spencer Rattler, who knows what he could even put his name in a Heisman candidate with a signature win like this. Now I don't know what it would do for the rest of their games in the SEC. They'll have to upset. You got to upset a team like Georgia to really get that recognition. But starting off the season and pulling off that win, I think they will beat North Carolina, just because of what we alluded to early in the show. What Dante is saying that North Carolina is not that good on defense and stuff, and I think South Carolina, no matter who they play, they always play competitive. That's the thing, but they just never could ever get certain wins. And I think Spencer Rattler, coming off last year's win with Clemson and coming into this season and pulling off a win like this against North Carolina, it would say a lot for this program.
Yeah, I think South Carolina will win today. Spencer Rattler improved last year, especially at the late stages of last year. Unfortunate that he did lose his job in Oklahoma, and rightfully so. Keller Williams was the better quarterback in that situation. And you see how Now you see how good Keller Williams is right now. But other than that, you have Spencer Rattler again, who blitzed Tennessee, who basically knocked Tennessee up out of the at that time. Even if Hendon Hooker was healthy, they weren't winning the game. They were already smacked around by 26 when he was in the game. So you can make an argument Tennessee should have just took him out. Should have probably just took him out. You wasn't winning the game. The offense was scoring points. Tennessee was able to score, but that Tennessee defense was god awful. Was like godly awful in that game. They beat Clemson. They go on the road. They beat Clemson on the road. They were hot. They were basically the hottest teams to end the season last year, and most of that because of Spencer Rattler. Now, most of the games that North Carolina lost because of their defense. Their defense lost a lot of those games. You remember earlier during the season last year, they were giving up about 40 or 50 points. They were like 45 points the last 3 games a game. They were giving up like 45 points. So their defense were actually abysmal. And it can't give me no reason for that defense to be improved. I believe Spencer Rattler in South Carolina will get the job done today. I don't know about Drake May's weapons. I got a question on that because, dude, like Ian said, he lost everybody. How is the support going to how is it? Who he got? Who's going to be a playmaker for him? Who's going to be the ball carrier for him? We know how good Drake May can actually be, but the supporting cast may not be as good. May be as similar to Sam Howell than what he had. We know the defense is not as good. They can't stop a nose. They can't stop a nosebleed at this point. But I'm going to go South Carolina. I believe it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I believe South Carolina is going to get the stops that they necessarily need to win this ball game. And Spencer Rattler is going to put this team on his back. And I just believe, South Carolina will be the better football team, and North Carolina defense won't be able to get the stops that they necessarily need. So I'm going to take South Carolina in this game.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
North Carolina only favored by 2.5 points on the road at South Carolina. So that game definitely feels a little bit flip-floppy here. More weird news in college football for week 1 for you. Do you guys remember this was probably over a decade ago where Virginia Tech was playing Georgia Tech, but Virginia Tech's jerseys didn't show up, so they had to use some blank Georgia Tech jerseys as their jerseys for a little bit. Y'all remember that game?
I don't think I do.
Okay, well, you might want to look it up because Air Force is playing Robert Morris here pretty soon. And Robert Morris traveled without more than 50 of their uniforms.
Wow.
And they are more than likely going to be having to wear Air Force's practice jerseys in today's game.
That's crazy, man.
But there's also a new update saying that the jerseys are on their way. They may have them by halftime. Whoever's that equipment manager just lost their job.
They definitely need fired.
They should be fired after that.
So,
matter of fact, as soon as they arrived, fired them.
Leave them on base. Yeah, let's see how well that goes on a military installation. Just, nope, we're going to leave you here. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be great. So, but yeah, no, I just keep getting Twitter notifications of more weird news happening in college football, but that's why we love college football as well. So, but yeah, no, getting back to it, yeah, UNC favored by 2.5. Personally, I still think North Carolina is going to be able to pull it off. I think it's a rivalry game. It's going to be a lot closer than it probably has any right to be. I do think Spencer Rattler has the right idea, but I also think Drake May is still better than Spencer Rattler. Put the defenses aside, put the 2 quarterbacks up against each other. I think Drake May, if he gets the ball last, he's going to find a way to win. I'm not saying it's going to be by 3, but I do believe that I'm taking North Carolina. I just got a good feeling about it. I don't know why, but I do. So, but a couple more games I wanted to get into. Personally, I think this will probably be my upset pick. I got Boise State beating Washington.
Ooh.
That's my pick. That's my pick other week. I swear. I got the same thing.
And I was looking at that on a parlay too and picking Boise State over Washington. Because they got Washington, 14-point favorite?
Yeah.
That's the same pick. I got that's my upset pick of the week. Boise State versus Washington.
Yeah.
That's the same thing I got.
And for a while, everybody was so high on Washington, but now they're missing their all-star running back. It's going to be a lot of Michael Penix Jr.
Yep.
But Boise State has done weird things, and that's the problem. I just don't know enough about Boise State, but I've heard enough about Washington to say, you know what? I don't know if I trust that number 10 ranking on them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Boise State beating Washington straight up, I could do it. I would bite on it.
I love it. That was the same upset pick of the week that I got.
So, because I'm checking the numbers right now, so I apologize if I go quiet here for a second. I just want to make sure that I'm getting the right numbers here. Washington favored 14.5. And that game kicks off at 3:30, but something tells me Boise State's got something in the chamber waiting.
Yep.
So, I don't know. But I've got Boise State in that one. And no, that's no slight because I'm a CU fan or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. Something had to give.
I just have to find me an upset pick somewhere up in there. I just have to do that. So I just went on to pick Boise State over Washington. I know that's a team that normally that does weird things, and that's a team that, you know, kind of not like you're not prepared for. You don't know what's coming. That's kind of one of those teams that you're not prepared for. That you don't know what's coming. You don't know what Boise State team that you're gonna get. So yeah, like that could be a dangerous game for the Washington, especially if they're hanging around, if they're in the game throughout the whole game. Some weird stuff will definitely happen.
Yeah. And I also think Nevada is going to keep it a little bit closer on USC later tonight, but I do think that USC still basically almost look at a repeat from last week. What they did with San Jose State, I could see USC absolutely running it in the second half.
Oh yeah, I think USC gonna wear them down in the second half. I think I'm going for Nevada. Nevada gonna score. I think Nevada gonna score at least 20 points in this game. I think they will get at least 20 points in this football game tonight. I don't know. If you have to go down USC's schedule and say who they are not going to give up 20 points, it will be hard. It will be hard to say they won't give up 20 points in this type of ball game. But I believe their defense is actually that bad. They focus on more the offensive side. They want to outscore you. They want to outscore you. Like I said, I'm not. I like the method. If you don't score, you don't win. You got to score, of course. But at some point, when you're going up against a team like Utah, you got to expect Utah to slow the game down a little bit more and be more physical. And I think when it comes down to those type of teams, I think with Oregon, I think Oregon can put up points on them as well. I think Oregon State, who had the best defense last year, they have a chance to slow the game down. Oregon State should have beat them last year. The score was like 14-13, I remember. They finally escaped up out of that. So when you're going up against teams like that that's going to slow the game down, I think that's where USC is going to have trouble. But they already having trouble giving up 28 to San Jose State, and I think they're going to give up really another 21 to Nevada tonight. They're going to struggle in the first half. I think they're going to come out struggling in the first half.
Yeah. And to answer Cool's question, he's asking if Spencer Rattler's been in the game a while. Yes, he has. It feels like he's pulling like a Van Wilder and refuses to graduate, whether it's from Oklahoma or South Carolina or wherever the heck he goes. So it feels like he's been there forever as well. So, but what other games are you guys looking forward to? Because we've got about 10 minutes left, and, it's the last season of the Pac-12. It's going to be an absolute boat race out there. I mean,
I think. Let me see, because I had added some games on my
All right.
I was going to say your team played already. You don't know what to do.
No, I know, right? I'm kind of like a little bit out of the loop. I definitely want to see what that Tennessee Virginia game. I know, Coastal Carolina, they play somebody. I want to watch
UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA.
That was the game I was going with, UCLA and Coastal.
Yeah, so I'm gonna check out them. definitely. I'm gonna be looking at Prime and TCU. I didn't realize that TCU had JoJo from Alabama that
JoJo
transfer.
Early, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like,
Again, that 20.5 point.
so yeah, I definitely want to see. I want to see. I want to see it. I want to see this. I'm gonna have other games on too, but I want to see this real good.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, as soon as we get done here, I'm turning on the CU. I've got to see it. It's been the hype all across the state for the last, 5 months is
Exactly.
what I'm going to do. So,
Well, I just want to say, man, it's good to be back. It's good to be back with y'all again, man. I know we all been, all over the place for on the off season or whatever. A lot of changes and stuff, even for myself. Dante, you can relate to this because I don't know, for some reason we get hacked on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I had to I used to have my Livewire Sports and Entertainment, but I rebranded to Livewire Sports Media now. So I'm just going to a whole different direction with it. It's on the YouTube or stuff like that. Twitter, I even got locked out on my added Twitter account. I don't even know what this. I'm like, man, what? And then it's like you can't even find ways to unlock these stuff. It's like you locked out. And it's like you had to create a whole new page. I don't want to. So I just let it be. I go to my main page and just let everything roll with it, man. So, but this season, I think if we think last season was fun in college football or the NFL, we in a long ride for surprises this year.
yeah, I will agree to that. I mean, let's be honest. The script just gets a little bit longer every single day, guys. The script gets a little bit longer every single day. So, but, I mean, beyond that, I mean, this is also probably the last season of college football as we know it, as it is right now, because of all the changes that are happening next year as far as the realignment goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just for those that are not in the loop, we'll fill you guys in real quick because everybody knows that the Pac-12 is completely disbanding after this season. Mm-hmm. We're down to the Tupac, and I'm sorry I made that joke, but I saw it on Twitter earlier. We're down to the Tupac. Everybody calls it the Tupac now, and Tupac's still alive, and that's how they're doing it with Washington State and Oregon State. But as far as this year, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF to the Big 12. Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA joined the American. Jacksonville State, Liberty, New Mexico State, and Sam Houston State joined CUSA. And then next year, I don't know how this makes sense. And it blows my mind that they still want to call themselves the Atlantic Coast Conference because they're getting Cal, Stanford, and SMU next season. That's official. The Big Ten's getting Oregon, UCLA, USC, Washington. Big 12, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah. SEC, they're finally going to get Oklahoma and Texas, and it feels like we've been talking about that forever, but that doesn't come into effect till next season. And then Conference USA brings in Kennesaw State as well. So bringing up some FBS or FCS up to the FBS, I think that's cool, but I feel bad for saying this, but it almost feels like we're still not done trying to figure out what these new conferences are going to be, whether it be this season or next season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you never know because there could be another shift pull by the time next season started again. I just was reading something that the ACC was trying to get the four corners with Oregon, Arizona State, Utah, and Arizona over there in the ACC. I was like, well, you know what? If you really wanted them, you could have really got them before the Big 12. The Big 12 jumped to it. The Big 12 made two power moves. They took teams from the American, and they end up taking some from the Pacific Northwest. So it's just what it is, you know. But like I said, at the end of the day, we're gonna have to keep our eyes on Clemson, Florida State, and Miami, because I think eventually they're gonna end up leaving the ACC and see where they go. It's gonna be pretty interesting.
Honestly, let's just go back to 2003 when the Big East was still a thing. Let's just bring back the Big East.
Mm.
It's okay. Bring back the Pac-12. Just call it the Big West. The Midwest, call it the Big Midwest. I don't know. Just make it regional, I guess. I don't know. But even then, that just seems to be breaking apart at the seams here. So, but there's a lot of chaos coming. But officially, college football is back here in about 4 minutes now until Big Noon games start kicking off here. Is there anything else any of you guys wanted to get out there before we go ahead, cut it, before we all just start watching college football for the next 12, 13 hours?
No, I'm good. I'm glad we back on the air, man. That's all I'm happy about. I'm glad we all back together again, doing this week by week, weekend by weekend. You know, as you know, on weekend mornings I had no reason to get up early. Now I have to get up super early again. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'm just happy college football is back, man. We get to watch Coach Prime and TCU, Coach Prime and CU, man. See what the team is all about. And next week, man, Thursday night football, NFL back, Lions and that's back. So we back, man. We back connecting again. We back for some football, man. It's the funnest time of the year right now.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That's gonna be that Thursday night game gonna be special, man.
Yeah.
You know,
so they just no. I was just gonna say they just used Enter Sandman for Deion Sanders. I'm officially lit. I am officially lit now. So, but yeah, no, this game should be getting kicked off here any minute. But yeah, no, college football is officially back. The NFL comes back Thursday. Detroit versus KC. I know we college football, but does Detroit stand a chance on Thursday night?
The Detroit, I'll give them a shot. Yeah,
I think they do. I think they can move the football. Yes, I think they do.
No Chris Jones, maybe big problems in KC. We'll have to see how that goes. But for Martin and Dante, this is Ian with the Sports Wave Network. Appreciate everybody tuning in, dropping your likes, dropping your comments. You guys can find us on YouTube at the Sports Wave Network or on Facebook at the Sports Wave Network as well. So tune in whenever you can. We will see you guys next Saturday, and we get to do it all over again with week 2. But for the guys, this is Ian. We'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy college football. We back, baby.